Today, we discuss who gets vehicle plates, people with motor vehicles. Vehicle. 1913, the Federal Reserve Act was enacted into law. December 31st, 1915, the year the Department of Motor Vehicles was enacted into the act. Question. With the result of the Federal Reserve Act, FRA, the creation of the DMV, the FRA ended the role of activities of transportation, so state banks created the DMV to be instituted. What was the role of the state banks? State banks held deposits, issued loans, and facilitated commerce within their states. What branch of government is the state banks? Senate. They give deliberate advice and knowledge. So the DMV take over the role of the state banks. They issue registration to sell express right and driver's licenses as commerce to a part of the banking system. What is the role of the state? Activities. What is the definition of motor vehicles? Vehicle that does commerce. What is and how are departments formed? By registration, selling express right. Takeaway. The Federal Reserve Act ended the role of activities of transportation, so state banks stopped holding deposits, issuing loans, licenses, and facilitating commerce registration for the activity of transportation. The state senate gave these roles to the Department of Motor Vehicles, which was created by someone selling an express right. The DMV is a member of the state senate, Department of Revenue, who gives advice and knowledge for activities. 1925, Michigan Public Utilities Common Reed Duke 266 U.S. 570. A state may rightfully prescribe uniform regulations necessary for public safety in order to, in respect to the operation upon its highways for all motor vehicles, those moving in interstate commerce, at a reasonable graduated license fee imposed by a state. My note. Motor vehicles is defined as a vehicle moving in interstate commerce, which means that the DMV is for those vehicles that do commerce, which can be regulated. My question, DMV replaces state banks, so does that mean do state banks have commerce for you? DMV's Senate, want to do commerce of activities with you. Does the DMV have commerce for you now? It took over part of the state banks, so yes. What is and who does interstate commerce? By selling ideas, property, and persons. By citizens to diplomats. What are regulations, rules? Rodrigo Ray Donovan, U.S. Department of Labor, 769 F2D, Federal Court, 1344, 1985. All codes, rules, and regulations are for government authorities only, not human created in accordance with God's law. All codes, rules, and regulations are unconstitutional and lacking due process. But you can always challenge those regulations. What is a license? Thoreau v. Massachusetts, 46 U.S. 504, 1847. A license is permission to carry the product to market, to trade in it, and to have consumer access with it. What are the responsibilities of the state? Activities. For more specific definition, consult my video, Civics Level of Government. Can you issue the registration to avoid uniform regulations? Yes, you can, as you have the right to expression, but you may not have the right to voyage. Takeaway. The DMV wants to do the activity of transportation with you. So they are to be a passenger of your vehicle, making the vehicle for commerce. Vehicles for commerce is called the motor vehicle. The DMV has commerce for you, so you can buy and sell ideas, property, and persons, but you are to follow the rules of the road because you are licensed to commerce. You express a right to your vehicle with the DMV as part of the commerce it does. 1925, Buck v. Q. Kendall, 267 U.S. 307. A citizen may have, under the 14th Amendment, the right to travel and transport his property upon the public highways by auto vehicle, but he has no right to make the highways his place of business by using them as a common carrier for hire. My notes. A citizen is a class of merchant. The classes range from slave to diplomat. Registration means selling an express right. Question: do diplomats have the right to travel and transport their property under a different amendment? Diplomats get the power of travel under treaties. Do diplomats have the right to make the highway their place of business? Diplomats buy and sell rights based on treaties, so are constantly doing commerce. So yes, diplomats have the right to make highways their place of business. Have people sold their right to travel for police to think it's a motor vehicle? Please call it a motor vehicle so they can prosecute you. In my video, how to get vehicle plates and civics level of government, I discuss how to be prosecuted. Takeaway: prosecutions are usually a good thing. Takeaway: a citizen has the right to travel under the 14th Amendment, while a diplomat has the right to do commerce on the streets under a treaty as they buy sell their rights. Please prosecute traveling citizens to commercial diplomats. 1931, Allward v. Johnson, 282 U.S. 509. A property tax on motor vehicles, vehicle for hire, used in operating a staged line that makes constant and unusual use of the highways may be measured by gross receipts and be assessed at a higher rate than taxes on property not so employed. I know vehicles for hire are measured by receipts and assessed at a higher tax. Question: what is a receipt? A document saying you did something. What is a tax? According to Peace Drafter's Handbook, taxes is used for relief of voluntary programs of displaced persons. Tax provides a source of income for new governments to support a sustaining economy. Do we pay taxes on property that is not used for commerce? No. Paying for something that doesn't support anything is taxing something that is in life, doing commerce. So there wouldn't be no money to support the tax. Without support, there is no money to support the tax, so we would get mad. And all constitutions say we all can alter for our happiness. It wouldn't be a government tax if we were mad. Takeaway: vehicles for hire are at a higher tax rates are used to relieve voluntary programs and displaced persons as they provide income for new governments. We do not pay taxes on things that are not doing commerce. 1932, Continental Baking Company vs. Woodring, 286 U.S. 352. The state may properly treat motor vehicles as a special class because of the special damage to the highways and special dangers to the public attending their operation. Motor vehicle: any automobile, truck, trailer, motorbus, or any other self-propelled or motor-driven vehicle used upon any public highway of this state for the purpose of transporting persons or property. This applies to those engaged in transportation as public motor carriers, contract motor carriers, private motor carriers of property. I notice we have defined motor vehicles as those that do commerce. In this case, defines them as anything on the road doing transportation. My question: does transportation mean commerce? Yes. Anyway, motor vehicles do transportation, i.e. commerce. 1932, Stevenson v. Binford, 287 U.S. 251. The state gives this power to the Railroad Commission, with authority to supervise and regulate the transportation of property for compensation or hire by motor vehicle on any public highway of the state, to prescribe rules and regulations for the government of motor carriers for the safety of their operation and for other purposes, to require each driver to have a license pursuant to an examination as to his ability and fitness. My notes: the DMV is taken over by the Railroad Commission, RRC, to register commerce on public highways. RRC prescribed rules and regulations for motor carriers for safety. Drivers now need a license. Questions: who's the RRC? Regulatory body that oversees transportation commerce. What is a motor carrier? A class of motor vehicle. What is the definition of driver? Someone that controls a motor vehicle. What is a license? Evidence of someone doing commerce. Do police think everyone on the road is operating a motor vehicle for them to have a driver's license? They do that so they can prosecute you. Anyway, the Railroad Commission regulates drivers of motor vehicle carriers that do commerce on highways because of safety. Police call a motor carrier so they can prosecute you. 1939, Dixie, Ohio Express Company versus State Revenue Commissioners. 306 U.S. 78. The State Maintenance Tax Act, which taxes vehicle property carriers for hire at greater rates than similar vehicles carrying property not for hire, is reasonable. Since the use of the roads by one hauling not for hire generally is limited to transportation of his own property as an incident to his occupation and is substantially less than that of one engaged in business as a common carrier. Notice we now tax vehicles that use the road. Question: what is a tax? A boost to a new economy. Takeaway: we tax vehicles because it's a boost to new economies. Summary: the Federal Reserve Act ended the state bank's role of issuing loans, licenses, and facilitating commerce registration for the activity of transportation. The Senate created the Department of Motor Vehicles to give advice and knowledge for the activity of transportation. And DMV wants to do commerce with you as you buy and sell ideas, property, or persons. Because you are doing commerce, being licensed, you are to follow the rules of the road, which is expressed in the registration. Registration is selling an express right commerce of a vehicle with citizens to diplomats use, and as such, these merchants can be prosecuted. Prosecutions are about vehicles doing commerce. Commercial things have a higher tax so they can boost new economies. The new economy talks about the commerce they do. The Railroad Commission regulates drivers of a particular class of motor vehicles because of safety. Being unsafe allows police to prosecute. Thank you. Have a nice day.